tuned to such a degree that you would think to yourself, well, how is it possible for nothingness? Let me put it another way. How would it be possible for random chance and probability to implant into this universe these precise laws that had to have interacted so perfectly, let alone nothingness to bring the universe into existence? It boggles the mind. So therefore, what our rationale is pointing us towards is that the source has to be alive. It has to be alive such that it has intelligence, a will, power, whatever you want to call it, energy, wisdom, far more greater than what we affirm for ourselves. Your mobile phone, you know by necessity within your life that if someone came along and said to you that mobile phone came back through chance and probability, it was lying in a junkyard and a tornado went through the junkyard and it all came together, you would say that's absurd because it goes against the laws of causality that I know of, that the entire world knows of and has always known. Well, that you can apply that now to the beginning of the universe. Because the universe is far more complex. So there's a verse in the Quran that when one of the followers of our Prophet Muhammad, when he came across this, he said, that's the first time that faith came and settled into my heart. Faith was there, but this is when it really settled. The verse says, and we believe that the Quran are the very words of this source, or were they created by nothing, or did they create themselves, or were they the creators of the universe? Nay, they have no certainty. What it's drawing our attention to is the following, Claire. Nothingness cannot bring about something. So therefore, something brought all this into being. We didn't bring ourselves into being, our mother and father did. And before them, their mother and father. But that goes back a certain time. Neither did we bring the universe into existence because we're part of the universe, so we're part of the problem. And if we therefore deny God his obvious, or this source, its obvious recognition, God says they have no certainty. There's no certainty in the idea that God can that a godless cause brought about the universe.
Is there no certainty in science?
No, we don't have a problem with science.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not going, this isn't like a me versus them thing. I'm just saying in the kind of the wider sense. I think this is the thing, isn't it? There's, having walked around here today, it just seems so much of people kind of going, this is what I believe because of all these years ago, when everything began. We've been here longer, our religion's older. However, there's so much focus on that and so little focus on everyone just working out how we can all get along.
That's a very good point. I mean,
and this is for me where it all starts to fall down, because ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, yes, this all matters to people individually. However, for me personally, what matters more is actually people finding a way to be able to live alongside each other.
Look,
and
Claire, fundamentally we do.
Yeah, no, I know.
Right?
I know.
Fundamentally, all human beings we recognize when we come together either as a couple, whether we're living in the middle of a jungle, being called a primitive tribe, or whether we're living in the most advanced civilizations, we know instinctually within us that we have to work together in a particular way. We have to establish moral truths, right? Now, these moral truths are implanted within every human being. You can call it the biological imperative if you want. Whatever you want to call it, it's there. If I lie and steal against my wife, it's not going to be conducive for our marriage, right?
No, it's not.
And it's obvious that when you come together as a community, the same rules apply, right?
Why is everything such a mess?
But here's the point. Those moral truths that were implanted within us, where do they come from if there is a source of all things? If there is no source of all things, there is no absolute good and absolute evil. Because if, for instance, Claire, you said, God forbid, you said, or I said to you, Claire, it's good for me to rape children. And you said, no, it's not. How would your truth be able to be proven against my truth?
Well, I suppose it's in the harm of people, isn't it? It's very much in that moment. Is it harming someone?
Precisely.
And that's just about harm, isn't it?
Precisely.
It's not really about where it all began and what we all believe. It's about just on a fundamental
Precisely.
level.
So on the fundamental level, we all share these truths.
Yeah.
Where do these truths come from?
Why does it matter so much?
Because ultimately, if you have certain truths where later on down the line, and this is conceivable, it's conceivable that you have a nation who believe, for instance, that it is part of their moral code of conduct to sacrifice children to their sun god, for instance.
Right.
And you have another civilization that says, no, that's wrong. How would you be able to prove to the civilization that takes children to be a good thing in sacrificing them to their gods? How would you be able to prove to them that you're right and they're wrong? What would be the means by which you would be able to?
Because we've already got a set code of conduct on sacrificing children.
But they already have one as well, right? Like, for instance, go back to the time of the Spanish conquistadors when they went over to South America,
Right.
where it was part of the Mayans' culture to actually sacrifice their children once a year or a certain number of times per year to their gods.
Far back there, aren't we, rather than here?
Sure, but I'm trying to put across a point here, right?
Okay.
The same principle can be applied to this world. Because look, for instance, hypothetically speaking, if you had those extremist Muslims known as ISIS, if they succeeded in taking over the land and they began killing people in a way which we would define all of us as barbaric, and we were saying to them that your way of life is wrong, and they said, no, our way of life is wrong, but the people who are saying that their way of life is better than ISIS did not believe in God, how would you be able to prove to them that you as a human being, because you're both human beings, how would you be able to prove to them that your moral compass is more true than their moral compass?
Well, we've got a whole societal infrastructure that's been set up to prove that we shouldn't be killing and sacrificing children, you would hope. It's not working very well at the minute.
Yeah, but what if they said to you that our concept of good is true and your concept of good is false? How would you be able to prove it objectively? Not through, we feel that this is our way because collectively we've come to a conclusion that it is. They would say, well, collectively we've come to a conclusion that it is.
Is it hurting anyone with being said, are the children happy to be sacrificed?
No. But
this would be it, wouldn't it? You know,
sure,
but coming down to actually how we kind of go whether or not this is right and trying to say that their way is right.
Right, so what if they said, well, our way is right because we believe the sacrifice of some children doesn't hurt society? How would you be able to prove to them that your way of good is better than their way without hearkening to a source outside of yourself? Because it's essentially my word against yours or my society's word against your society's.
I suppose it's how much of this you believe is religion versus kind of societal kind of construct, isn't it?
You're missing the point. The fundamental point here is how you can prove your moral truth.
So it's about proof.
Isn't it?
Well,
otherwise it's just.
Isn't it? It's about the news. I mean, I could essentially say one thing, I believe this, and you could say I believe that.
But the laws are also based upon a collective understanding of what is right and wrong. So whether it's you who believes it or whether it's many yous who believe it, it still comes down to a collective subjective experience. So how do you now prove to a people who are other than yourself that your collective truth is more true than their collective truth if you do not believe in a source outside of yourself?
I don't know.
It's impossible.
But don't you know the truth? We were all born with the truth.
No, but how do you prove that your truth is more true than their truth?
Then it's actually trying to say that, you know what, look inside yourself. Each and every one of us.
No, you're missing the point, sir.
I'm not missing the point. Because
we're trying to prove.
Even in the world today, we still have children that are being sacrificed. And it's for a reason that happened back then, centuries ago. As in,
no, but you're missing the point. I'm trying to get across to my friend Claire here how it's possible to prove without a belief in God.
I'm so sorry.
You got to go. Okay, Claire, thank you for your time, my dear. All right. If you haven't read the Quran, we have a free copy just down there as you go out. Just let them know that Hamza.
Thank you very
No worries,
much.
Claire. Have a good day. Where's your friend? You better collect him before.
Oh no, he's not mine.
Oh, isn't he?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
you know,
Oh, okay. Go. Sorry. Go on, bro.
my belief, we were all born with the truth.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in the Creator. People say God, I say the Creator. Because to me, there are many gods.
What do you mean there's many gods?
There are many gods that the fallen, like the fallen angel, they're gods, aren't they?
How are they gods?
Because they taught man.
Sorry, before we get into this, what's your definition of God? How would you define what God is?
I see, okay, my definition of the creator is physical as well as spiritual.
I don't understand how that defines the creator. When you call it the creator, is one of the attributes of this creator has to be the attribute of creating, right?
Yeah.
When this creator brought the universe into existence, did it have another creator alongside it? No. So, in that sense, if we're looking at God as the greatest conceivable being,
where did the word God came from in the beginning?
If you just allow me to develop the argument, whatever you want to call it, God, Allah, Jehovah, Creator, Fashioner, whatever proper noun you want to give it, right? If it is the only source of all things, that thing has to be the greatest conceivable thing that we can imagine. Because before the universe had existed, it was only this being that existed, what you call the creator.
Yeah.
That for me
is
God, the creator, the fashioner, the former, whatever you want to call it, bro.
Okay. Why I say...
So when you said that there are other gods, that threw me.
Okay, that's fine. I see other gods, we can class ourselves as gods. Yeah? We can create things, but we cannot breathe the breath of life.
For this creator.
Totally agree with you.
Oh, brilliant.
But go ahead.
Sorry, no, go on. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
But you know what? For me, the creator is beyond the word God. There is much. It's.
Yeah, I mean, this creator is unfathomably powerful. It's unfathomably knowledgeable. Would you agree with that?
I'm a designer by trade.
Amazing.
And for me, this is how I view the creator. There is a spiritual realm where all ideas are formed. Or no, not formed, where ideas are. Now, for us as a human being and the creator goes to find this, has to be first spiritual. Because
what has to be spiritual, sorry?
Spiritual.
We have to be spiritual.
We have to be spiritual, so as the creator to go there. Then, to make what is spiritual come into the physical realm, and we also, and the creator has to be physical. Does that make sense?
To a certain extent, yeah, go on.
Right, so the only thing that we don't have, or much more than that, we don't have a greater spiritual sense of understanding than which the creator have. But we have a spiritual sense of understanding that enable us to create this.
Sure.
To create this.
Yep.
But we don't have the sense of understanding, the spiritual sense of understanding to breathe life into an object.
Into another object, okay.
Into another object. So that's why I said the creator.
Can I ask you a question based on that then? Do you believe that this creator that gave us the ability, which you define as being that spiritual ability to create, do you believe that that creator would give us that ability, that spiritual ability to create, and not tell us what our purpose is when we recognize that that which we create is created for purposes? Like, for instance, those headphones around your neck, that came with a manual, I presume, right? So the spiritual being that brought that thing into existence brought it about for a purpose.
But the manual is in us. We were born with the manual. Unfortunately...
What do you mean we were born with the manual? So the thing that brought that thing into existence, did it produce a manual so that it can understand it and we can understand how to use it?
Okay, human beings produce a manual for objects, animate objects.
Yes.
The creator don't produce a manual.
Why?
The manual is in us.
Okay.
We were born with the manual.
Right.
The difference is, sorry to interrupt.
No.
The difference is we were born in a world that man thinks that they are above the Creator. So they say this is what you should do. This is what you should do.
Okay,
this is what you should become.
So that man, those men who brought these notions into existence, that this is what you should do, this is how you should behave. Can those things be good and evil?
Yes. Totally.
Good. Now, given that, though, we acknowledge as an obvious, I think hopefully you'll agree with this.
Oh, you're right. How are you?
Yes, I'm good.
My friend is here, somewhere around. Yeah.
Given that we acknowledge that things that we create all have purposes, what about the Creator that brought all of the things in the universe into existence, including ourselves, and gave us the ability to know up to a point about what is good and what is bad. But beyond that point, when we begin to do things that are good and evil, why would He not produce a manual to give to us so that we better ourselves? Why would He just allow us to get to a point and then say...
But the manual is in us. And I'll explain why I say the manual is in us.
No, before you do that, when you come to explain what this manual is, that is within us, can you please explain how far that manual goes in explaining the evil and good that takes place in the world?
Okay. I'll ask you a question. No, I wouldn't ask you a question. I'll tell you. I came close to killing someone. Physically, I came close to killing someone. And before I did the act, I saw two ways. One, what happens when I kill someone. Two, what happens if I don't kill someone. That was the manual.
Inside you, right?
Inside of me.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. But the one that sticks with me, and this is over 20 years ago, is still the act of what happens if I do it.
Yeah.
20 years later, I'm driving down from my mom's home. I started to cry in my car. And then, you know what came into
yourself?
What came into myself? The simplest thing is the hardest thing for man to understand. To understand, which is we need each other to have humility and understanding for each other. That's what came into.
That's beautiful. No.
And
go on.
And then came in a man was sent to teach you how to live.
A man was sent.
Yeah.
Who was this man?
They said Christ, whatever. I have a different opinion, but that's what came into my being.
You're going to have to explain that a little bit more, because the man that you claim may be different to the man that I follow.
Yes.
And then there may be a clash between the two men.
Yeah.
And if those two men are the greatest spiritual beings who have understood this spiritual being the most, if they are a guide, and we find that they differ on these fundamental issues, there's a problem, because if they are both claiming to be from that source, but one saying
which one is right, which one is
exactly
wrong. Exactly.
So
that's my.
Is that your question to me?
No,
I can give you an answer.
But I can understand that. Yeah. Because for me,
let me put it like this, right? Imagine one man claims to be from this source and says that this source has told him that it is good to worship the source in the form of the human genitalia, the penis, for instance. I'm gonna come up with something vulgar just so that it really rams it home. And another man says, well, I'm also receiving revelation from that source, or I'm also receiving inspiration from that source, and that source has told me that worshipping that source as anything from creation, let alone the human genitalia or the dung or something disgusting, is the greatest crime against him. How do we know which one is right and which one is wrong?
Then we have to look within ourselves.
No, but how can we do that? What's your name, by the way?
Sorry?
What's your name?
Melville.
Yes. Hamza.
Pleased to meet you.
You too, my friend. I appreciate your time as well. Melville, look, we don't need to look within ourselves, because you and I, we've already established that there are beings who have reached the highest pinnacle of spirituality. So why should we need to look into ourselves when there's two people, hypothetically, who are saying the opposite things? How can we now determine which one is right and which one is wrong?
In our hearts, yeah, or in our soul. I wouldn't say in our hearts, in our soul, yeah. Our soul can tell us.
But Melvin, look at this. Now, extend that now. Imagine that one guy who says that it's permissible to worship the source, this creator, in the form of the human genitalia. Imagine he has 200 million followers. Just example, right?
Yeah.
And they all believe that's true. And you have the other source that also has 200 million followers who believe that what he's saying is true. It goes beyond now just a case of...
At the end of the day, each individual has to look within themselves, listening to the two sources that have the same amount of followers.
Yep.
People on this planet
Yep.
like to be led by others.
Okay.
They find it difficult, not difficult, it's easier
Yep.
to follow those that has the many than those that has the few.
Okay, that's appreciated.
So the only way
Yep.
that we can tell the difference, going back to what I said, look within ourselves, and we have to then find that source of creation that is in us.
But you're missing the fundamental...
I hear what you're saying.
Here's the fundamental question.
Go ahead.
With the source, which one is true and which one is false? And are there any consequences for that?
There is always consequences.
Good.
Whether it's wrong or whether it's right.
Right. So how do we know now? How do we know what is right and what is wrong without there being some type of way between those two people and their 200 million followers, which one is true and which one is false?
Going back to what I said, we have to look within ourselves as an individual. Yeah.
But what if we end up committing ourselves to one side believing it's true and we go back to the source? Are we going to be held to account, or is it irrelevant?
No. We have to
Excellent.
be held to account.
We have to be held to account.
Even for our own thoughts.
Okay. So what if the consequences of being held to account is eternal damnation and eternal salvation?
You live with your consequences. You have to live with that.
No. But what if you're saying you live with your consequences. What if the consequences are you being tortured and punished for an eternity?
How do you know that?
It's a hypothetical.
Exactly.
I'm trying to put across to you the idea that if you're restricting it to only yourself, that your heart determines what is right and what is wrong, but there are clear telling you that the path that your heart is telling you is true is actually false, then how can you face the source? How can you, forget the source, how can you say to yourself, I'm going to live by this falsehood, despite there being clear truths out there that what your heart's apparently telling
you? You know what? I live by my heart, by my being, by that thing inside of me that tells me which is right or wrong. I question myself all the time. We as human beings have the ability to do that. But a lot of us choose not to. We choose to follow. Whether it's wrong or right. It's much easier to follow than to question yourself.
Yeah, questioning is a fundamental...
And that is the truth of everything. If you don't question what you hear...
And then when you question it, and the truth becomes obvious, should you as a person be sincere to the truth and follow it?
Of course.
Brilliant.
But that's what I live. That's what I live by. I'll tell you something.
Go on.
I have died in this life. You see my legs? I have difficulty in walking. So every morning, every night, I have to give thanks.
Yes.
That I'm able to sleep.
Yes.
When I get up in the morning, I give thanks that I'm able to get up. because I am not sure whether I'm going to make it
To the next day.
to the next day.
Yes. Melvin, what you're describing is very, very close to what Islam describes. Islam said that human beings have been given a singular purpose in life. And that singular purpose, Melvin, is our being thankful for every small bit of blessing that we take such granted for. We take these blessings with such grantedness that many of us don't even turn around and thank the source that gave us these blessings.
I live as if each day is my last day on this planet.
You know, when we Muslims, when we pray, we remind ourselves that this may be the last prayer. So oftentimes we say, pray as if this is your last prayer. And the prayer is the prayer that all the prophets and messengers that were sent by the source came to teach human beings. And you know what they said? Melvin, just very quickly. They said that only the source is worthy of being worshipped. Nothing from creation is worthy of being worshipped. If you find a human being who's claiming that the source is all powerful, the source is necessary, we're all dependent upon the source, but we worship a man or a monkey or a human genitalia or a rat or a cow, that source is, those prophets and messengers are saying that is the greatest crime against God.
Well, I didn't read anything
to know that.
I look within myself because the Creator is in me.
Have you heard of
in everything.
Yeah.
So when I want to know anything at certain time in the night and in the day, I find myself asking a question.
Amazing.
And the answer is revealed. I question the answer.
Melvin,
several times.
What you're describing that is within you, do you believe that what is within you also exists as a potential in all other human beings on this earth?
It exists. That's a stupid question. I'm sorry.
I know it's rhetorical because I know you're going to say yes. And my
in everything.
And my next point is as follows.
It's even in those leaves.
My next point is as follows. Our Prophet Muhammad said that every child is born upon what's known in Arabic as, and I want you to try and remember this word, the fitrah.
What does it?
Have you heard this word before? No.
I've heard of it, but
The fitrah is that primordial state of a belief in that spiritual being, as you call it, that spiritual being, the creator of all things, the sustainer, the nourisher. That fitrah forces human beings towards the transcendent.
Okay.
To believe in him.
I asked a female friend of mine.
But so just very quickly, not just to belief is not enough. You have to acknowledge the Creator.
You have to live it.
But the living has to be defined not by us, but by the Creator.
You have to live it by us.
Why do you find that? Why did you shake your head? Why did you find it difficult to go beyond that?
I don't find it difficult to go beyond that. What I find difficult is that we don't know whether we are doing the right thing by the Creator. We could only go by what we feel. Most people.
What would convince you?
Most people go by what other people say.
Okay, but what would convince you that the Creator that is claiming certain truths? What would convince you that this Creator has communicated with us?
So there is. Oh, my friend. What would convince me is here, my spirit, my spiritual being.
Sure, but the way
that's my conviction.
Sure, but the way you worship this Creator, the way you give thanks, right? Who has a greater right of determining how to give thanks? You or the Creator? Remember, the Creator implanted within you the spirituality of giving thanks to Him. Why would He implant this obvious natural instinct within every human being to want to give thanks and not tell these human beings how to give thanks to Him? You have a mother and father.
Remember what I said to you earlier on. What I said to you earlier on is that I was driving down and I came close to killing someone, and then what stays with me is the fact that what stays with me, how to kill someone and what happens, and then something came inside of me 20 years later. The simplest thing is the hardest thing for a man to understand, that humility and understanding is what we need for each other.
But the greatest right upon you, before anyone else, before you establish your sincerity and your feelings and your good deeds towards your fellow man, is to firstly give it towards the Creator. Because your fellow man, no matter how loving they are towards you and no matter how you love them, they don't have a right that is greater than his right.
No one has a right, number one.
No. Don't say that, Melvin.
No one has a right.
Look, you believe human beings have to have rights because you said that instinctually within you know how to behave towards your fellow man, and the fellow man knows how to behave towards you. So these are rights that people are establishing.
Okay.
So for instance, I'll give you your example against you. You said that you came to a point in life where you were about to murder someone, but that instinct within you, that fitra in you, told you that no, this is not good. So you recognize the right of the human being that it is impermissible for you to take the life of that person. Rights are an obvious thing you have to recognize.
So
now,
where does that right came from?
No, that's not the question. The question is, who has the greatest right on you? That thing or the human being that you decided 20 years ago not to kill? Or any human being? Melvin, any human being. Your wife, your children, your mother, father.
Is that innate thing that was given to every living thing come from the Creator?
Yes, so what did the Creator, how did the Creator tell you to worship Him?
Be honest and truthful and be as fair as you would have it done unto you.
Okay, so you be honest towards the Creator?
First, be honest to yourself.
No. We've already gone past that, Melvin.
No.
Are you rejecting the fact that the Creator
Why don't you
does...
listen?
Sorry, go on.
What's this? A
Once
music
you are
video?
honest and be fair to yourself, you're also being honest and fair to the Creator.
How?
By being truthful to yourself, by knowing what's in you is right and wrong,
Melvin.
and by knowing it came from the Creator.
Sure. But Melvin, you being right to yourself is you establishing the rights for yourself. I'm asking about the rights of the Creator.
The rights for yourself is also the rights for the Creator, because it's an innate thing within every living thing.
But Melvin, you're not the Creator. So your rights cannot extend to the Creator unless you claim that you are the Creator.
You see, you're missing what I'm trying to say.
No, I trust me, I've heard this argument before,
really,
so I'm just extrapolating. You said to me, let me repeat what you said to me. You said to me that me establishing my own rights is my establishment of his rights.
Right.
But that can't be true.
Where
because
does your right come from?
Wait. You've already pointed to a being outside of yourself. Yeah. So you being right to yourself, how are you right to yourself? Tell me.
The being outside of yourself is in you.
Don't you
think so?
That means you are God. The being inside you.
Look.
If you are claiming that the being inside you is a godly directive,
it is.
Then you have to tell me, is this godly directive the God itself? Is he inside you, and therefore are you God?
The Creator, part of the Creator, yes, is in you.
No, not part of it.
Okay,
because
all of it is in you.
Okay.
You. Okay.
Let
me explain something.
Now then.
Sorry.
Given that he is in you, this Creator is in you, right? How do you know that what you're doing is right?
Only until the end we will know whether it's right or not.
It might be too late then, Melvin.
It doesn't matter.
And what we're telling you is that if you are wrong, there may be consequences to this wrong.
If you're right, there's consequences.
No.
If you're wrong, there's consequences.
But Melvin, no one lives life like that. If I told you, Melvin, don't go down there because there's a lion in the field, or there's a lion roaming around in Hyde Park, you wouldn't say to me, I don't care. We're going to suffer the consequences. You're going to be honest with yourself and say, really? I want to run in that direction.
No, I tell you something.
Do you understand the point?
Yeah. I used to walk the street late at night when I was younger, and I would walk the main road, and then in the night, and on the way, I'm thinking, take a shortcut to go home. And you know what always comes in me? Don't take a shortcut. Walk the main road. 4 times I took the shortcut. and there's always trouble.
Yeah.
When I follow my first thought,
Right.
take the main road,
Right.
it's a longer road.
So since that
It's a longer road.
exactly. So since
right?
that first thought
Yeah.
was the thought from God, why didn't He tell you that is wrong?
Didn't tell me it's no. He did. The Creator did.
But you
Did.
what? You decided to ignore it?
I decided to ignore it.
Okay. So you just acknowledged that the
So what I did, sorry,
go on. No, so I was just
I
looking at
decided to take the main road from then on.
from
Yeah.
then on in. Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been better for you to have taken the
The
shortcut
Of course.
the first time round,
Of course.
right? Or the main road the first
Yeah.
time round, I should say. Sorry, because you don't want to take the shortcut, do you?
Exactly.
Right.
Because I want to get home quickly.
Right. So my point here is as follows: if it can be proven to you that Islam is the truth from God, and it aligns with all your instincts, but it's also correcting this idea that God is in you, and by being good to yourself, you're being good to God, without being able to prove to yourself, Melvin, that this really is good.
You're looking at it from being good to yourself.
But I have to, because why? If there's 20 million Melvins who think the same way, and there's 20 million non-Melvins who think the opposite way, who's right and who's wrong? So it goes, Melvin, just 1 second. It goes back to the original point I was making. So whether you, just 1 second, whether you multiply it, whether you keep it singular to Melvin, or whether you multiply it to 20 million people on one side and 20 million people on the other, it still comes to the same point. How do you know, ultimately, that what you're doing in life is right, without this being telling you?
You're looking at it as if I'm being good to myself. Singular.
Now you're trying to be philosophical.
No. I'm not trying anything. Because when you use the word that when I'm being good to myself, that's what I thought, that's how you are looking at it. I'm looking at it on a singular plane.
Okay, but
I am not.
how? Okay, whether you
I'm
extend
looking
it,
at it as an extended.
yeah.
As an extended.
When you extend it,
as in yourself, that what you feel, the love that you feel for yourself,
yes,
is the love that you feel for your family.
okay. So the 20 million people who believe that God should be worshipped in the form of a human genitalia, and the 20 million people who believe that that is wrong.
That's their problem. You can't deal with others.
Why would God not communicate and tell us what is right and what is wrong regarding Himself?
I tell you.
We do it to ourselves. For instance,
you just said it.
No, me saying it just proves my point, Melvin. Your mother, for instance, if she wants you to behave in a particular way, she'll tell you, Melvin, don't do this. I want you to behave in this way and not the other way. You may disagree with your mum, but you're not going to say, Mum, you know what? As long as you're happy with it, I'll obey what you're telling me. That's you recognizing, even though you disagree with your mum, recognizing her right to what she believes is happiness, right? Does that make sense so far?
It makes sense to a lot of people. To me, my mom and I, we have a completely different.
No, it's an example. Yeah, it's an example I'm giving.
It makes sense, you know?
So if that's
I
true,
don't do things for me personally. I follow what my inner spirit.
but that can only take you so far, Melvin. You don't know what your purpose in life is without the Creator telling you what your purpose is. You can't just make it up and say, my inner self tells me, so therefore it must be true.
You're coming from a book.
No, I'm coming from a source outside of myself. Because if the source was within ourselves, your moral truth or your understanding of truth and my understanding of truth may be the opposite, but there's no way of determining which one is true or false. And so therefore, what if the consequences of that are that what I believe to be true may be good for me and may allow me to live to the age of 40 or 50, but what you believe to be good, which is the opposite to me, may end up leading you to death the next day.
But then turn it the other way around. What if what you believe leads you down the wrong path?
Exactly. That's my.
No one knows.
No, you do know, because look, if whatever way you want to look at it, whether you live for 60 years or I die tomorrow, the point is who is true and whose moral truth is true and whose moral truth is false. The claim of it.
The only time we will know is the minute.
No, but no one lives that. No one lives like that, Melvin. No one lives like that, Melvin.
Every one of us live like that. Before we die, we all know the truth.
If we know that my moral truth is bad for me, and someone proves to me that what I think is good is actually bad, the person who's sincere to themselves will immediately change the way. Like, for instance, if I told you, Melvin, there's 200 people saying, Melvin, don't go down there, there's a lion, you're not going to say to me, oh, I'm going to have to find out for myself.
I do.
Immediately.
That's the way I...
Melvin, immediately, sincerely, you will say, those 200 people cannot be wrong.
No, I don't live like that.
Then that's foolishness, Melvin. That's foolishness.
I follow 200 people might say, don't go down there. Before...
What if there's 200 people you know and you trust? Then what?
The only person I
Are you going to say that I'm still going to find out for myself? That's foolishness.
Excuse me. You can't even trust the dead.
Okay.
You can't even trust yourself.
I'm talking about
Much
this.
more to trust others.
Yes. My point here now is you are going to trust those 200 people who you know to be truthful, because that's what human experience does.
You see, that's what human experience.
And I think that's delusion if a person
there
says.
Are people that live outside of the human experience.
Don't tell me you live outside the human experience, Melvin. That would be very, very silly.
Let me show you something. Two guys are walking. Everyone is walking here, and we're all making the same step with the same foot without thinking about it.
No,
that's human experience.
It's not. That's unconscious behavior.
And why is it unconscious?
Because it's an instinctual thing. You're just doing it unconsciously. I'm talking about the conscious decisions that are brought to human beings. If they are good for you and you recognize them to be true, you're going to do it and you're going to implement it immediately. You're not going to say to yourself, and look, we find a collective people all living in a particular way and it's good for them. When we know that to be good for us and true, we will implement it. We're not going to say, oh, I'm going to find out for myself. Who does that?
The system creates laws and rules that the system says it's good for us.
But you just said that you don't agree with those.
I don't. For millions of people.
Okay, so you're willing to go about your way without knowing truly whether it's true or false.
I'm willing to question.
How? How can you question?
By asking myself. By listening to what I've been told.
No, but you're going to reject them because ultimately Melvin is saying, I'm going to judge it based upon me.
First, I listen. Second,
but that's irrelevant.
Second, I ask myself.
Exactly. And if Melvin asks himself, and his self says to him that what you've heard is true or false, is true, you're going to go with that.
Yes. And if myself said it's wrong, then I won't go with it.
Yes. So if there's 200 people that you love and you trust who are telling you, Melvin, don't do that, how can you go back to yourself and say,
I always do.
Is there a possibility that yourself will contradict those 200 people?
Yes, there is a possibility.
Exactly.
So that's why.
So look Melvin, look at the level of skepticism that you live your life by. 200 people that you love and trust, you're not willing to take their word because you placed your entire life foundation upon Melvin and his personal feelings.
Yes.
Ridiculous. No one lives like that, Melvin. Your entire world experience, I promise you, if you went home and you wrote it down, you would say, my mother, who I love, told me to do this and I did it. I didn't say, oh mum, hold on a second, let me look within myself.
You're contradicting what you just said. You said, if I listen to those 200 people that I love and trust, am I going to listen to them and follow what they say, or am I going to still look within myself and say no? For me...
How did I contradict myself?
because you said you're going to be writing down, saying now those 200 people are going to say, I'm going
No,
to
I didn't say
follow
that.
them.
I said
Sorry, excuse me.
if you sit down if you just sit down and write down all those times where someone you trust and love told you to do something, you would find that by and large you will have found that you did it without necessarily having to look into Melvin's personal feelings.
No, I'm sorry. I am terribly sorry to contradict you there. I don't do that.
You've never done that? You're telling me on oath, before the source of all things, that you've never ever done that in your life with the cameras on?
When I was younger, yes. As I got older and I start to question,
So you became more and more skeptical. You became an ultra skeptic in old age.
no,
So
I became more aware.
No,
You're
no,
using
no,
it.
no, no,
You
not
see,
aware.
You are trying to
awareness-
say, I'm skeptic.
Melvin, awareness is awareness of what? Outside of Melvin or inside Melvin?
Outside.
But outside doesn't matter, Melvin, because you just said to me that no matter what questions you ask and no matter what answers you receive, it will always be a personal thing for Melvin, and that personal inquiry has become more embedded as you've gotten older. So you become more and more skeptical.
Have you ever
So Melvin, just one second. Stop appealing to the outside, because the outside doesn't mean anything to you. That's my point.
Have you ever looked outside of yourself? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
And what do you find?
I find people who are extremely truthful, and if they tell me to do something, because I know them to be truthful, I will do it. I'll give you an example. Our Prophet Muhammad, he came with the truth, and I've looked into the way he established the truth for me, and I'm absolutely convinced that he was a man of truth, and he was receiving direct revelation from the source, and this source was telling him to do things that are good, that will maximize goodness in our lives. I'm not.
What if that's wrong?
I've implemented it in my life. I've seen human beings implement it, and I've seen them to be the best human beings that I've ever come across.
You sound like a Catholic to me.
This is how human beings behave, Melvin.
sound
Human
like a
beings don't become ultra skeptical as they get older to the point where they claim, oh, I'm going to ask questions, but when the answer comes their way, ultimately they determine the answer based upon themselves. In reality, your God is Melvin. You're worshipping yourself.
If that's what you believe, that's fine by me.
I'm going by what you told me, Melvin.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If that's what you believe,
Yes.
I agree with that.
What if the
Because that's your belief.
What if the consequences of that are that you will end up in a position? No, let me put it another way. What if not doing that will allow you to be a better version of yourself in the future? Not doing what you're doing at the moment. Would you be open to exploring that?
I'm always open to everything.
Have you read the Quran?
I have the Quran. I've read part of it.
You've read the Quran?
And I haven't read all of it.
Okay.
Just like I have the Quran.
Yeah.
I have the Christian Bible. I have the Torah. And they all, it's one.
Yeah, there's one source, there's one creator,
They all have the same thing.
but the Quran differs.
Why is it?
It differs in that it clearly establishes how this source is to be worshipped, how this source is to be thanked
Where's the Quran came
from the source.
Wrong. The Quran is a made up of the Torah and the Christian Bible. Or Christianity.
Okay, Melvin, I think you've been reading sources that are not true. Because if
I have the Quran. I have two.
I understand you've had the Quran, but when you make these claims, I'm going to ask you for your evidence. Are you going to be able to back up that with evidence? Or is this coming from Melvin's inner self again?
It's coming from what I have read. But I can't remember. But
So I can tell you that accusation is false, because the Prophet Muhammad was an illiterate man, and the way we know that he didn't take it from the Torah and the Injil is because the Arabic that he spoke in, despite being an illiterate man, was of such high eloquence that the most eloquent of the Arabs weren't able to produce a source or a structure that was more eloquent than that. So can you imagine an illiterate man, and he received revelation at the age of 40, he claimed, whilst he was in a cave just outside the vicinity of Mecca. Imagine a man who can't read and write, is known to be an illiterate, the next day comes down and starts saying that I have received revelation from God, and starts speaking in an Arabic way, which the most eloquent poets of that time were dumbstruck as to how he was able to come up with something so eloquent. And in fact, worse than that, the Prophet Muhammad then challenged them. He said, if what you believe is not from God like I'm claiming, then produce something like it. So let me just finish off. Let me just finish off, because it's quite profound. And a lot of people don't understand how profound the claim is. These poets weren't able to do it. So then the Prophet said, okay, now produce 10 chapters like it. And they weren't able to do it. So he said, okay, now produce just one chapter like it. They weren't able to do it. You know what they chose? They chose to go to war rather than choose the most easiest path. Can you imagine that? Imagine this, Melvin. Imagine this. Melvin, let me just finish off, Melvin.
Sorry, go ahead.
Imagine you had two paths, right? Remember those two paths that one was more difficult and one was more easier, right? Imagine you knew at the end of it what the harms and the benefits were, right? You would naturally choose the easier of the two paths, right? Right. So imagine you had the choice of either proving someone who claims you're not going to be able to produce something as eloquent as what I have. Imagine having that choice, but not being able to do it, but thinking, I'd rather put my life and my children's life and my entire generation's life on the line than to do the easiest thing. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. It's funny. Christ said the same thing.
What did he say?
Christian
narrative. Yeah. What did he say?
That I am the way, I am the life. Whether it's true or not, no one knows.
Yeah, but that's not the same as what I'm saying at all. What he's saying, that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can reach to the Father but by me, right? So the Quranic claim isn't this. It's to prove. It's like a test against those who are claiming that the Prophet Muhammad isn't receiving revelation, like yourself. You said that he received it from the Torah and the Injil. If that was the case, he would have taken what's from the Torah, translated it into Arabic, and then transmitted it back to his people. And his people would have been able to say, hold on, that's just a direct translation of what you've taken from this part of the Torah or that part of the Gospels. But they didn't. They knew that this was something that was beyond anything on this earth. And it came from an illiterate. So for 23 years, they had the chance of proving Muhammad wrong. Instead, they chose to do the most difficult thing, which is fight him.
That's not difficult, because it's easier to fight someone.
Then produce a chapter like it. Do you know how short the chapter is? The shortest chapter in the Quran is only 3 verses. 3 verses. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar inna shani'aka huwal abtar. That's it.
What does that mean?
Well, irrespective of what it means, the point here is that all they had to do was produce a chapter as succinct, as eloquent as that. And they knew that they couldn't do it. If you had the chance, for instance, of eating something before you, and you're hungry and you're about to starve to death, and you had the ability to do it, wouldn't you go to the food and eat it rather than die? Of course you would.
You said if you have something to eat
and you're starving, and you have the ability,
to go to the food.
Yep, and you would eat it. Would you,
or to do it yourself?
No, or to die.
Or to die.
What would you do?
No, you would eat.
Exactly. So the obvious thing here isn't to place your life on the line when there is such an easy, non-life-threatening situation. Then that. Look, you can maybe 1 or 2 of those people might have been mad and a death wish, but the majority of human beings don't think like that. They are going to go with the easiest choice. So this, for the Muslims, is one of the most powerful arguments of the Quran.
What if the easiest choice is the wrong choice?
No, but that's besides the point.
Where is he? Do you know what? I find religion.
Moroccan guy, we're talking to. Where is he?
It's all about
where?
Don't
killing each other.
Okay, what makes you say that?
if you go back to the crusade, the Christians are killing the Muslims. The Muslims are killing the Christians.
Yeah.
We come up today. Hey, monsieur.
It's okay. I think you.
He could have gone.
I know.
That's
I don't think he's all there. But anyway, young and brash.
we come up to, we are living in so-called 21st century. We still have the same thing happening that happened in the beginning.
But Melvin, if wars are a definition of falsehood in regards to those who perpetrate it, then what about the age of atheism in the 20th century, when you have the greatest wars take place with the greatest loss of life based upon ratio alone? The World War I and World War II wasn't a religious-based war.
No.
It was purely an atheistic war.
It was about business.
But that's my point, though.
But do you know what I mean?
So look, are you saying, Melvin, that there isn't a such thing as just war? That all wars are unjust?
There isn't such thing as a just war. Wars is about killing people, life, taking a life.
Yes, but you can defend yourself. Like, for instance, the Palestinians at the moment, don't they have a right to defend themselves? If they killed,
we all have a right to defend ourselves. But unfortunately,
but wouldn't you call that a war?
that's a war. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
So why are you saying that all wars
because
are wrong?
the war that is happening in Palestine, it's a business. At this moment,
Okay,
it's a business.
what if it's a religiously based war? Then what? Imagine a religious community comes in, like the Crusades you mentioned. They come rolling into town and they massacre all the people in the city. And the city said they went by what Melvin said. We shouldn't commit war because all wars are wrong. Do you think that's good or bad?
I'm going to tell you something.
Answer the question,
no.
Melvin.
Sorry.
What do you think? Do you think that's good or bad? Your mother and father and your children are about to get massacred, and you're following Melvin's way, which is that all wars are wrong.
That's bad. Taking a life, any kind of life, human life is bad.
So all wars are wrong?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
All wars are wrong.
Yeah. Let me tell you something that's happening.
So you're saying that the Palestinians have no right to defend themselves?
Every living thing, human beings have a right to defend themselves. When you see what's happening in Palestine, there's a bigger picture.
I understand that, but I just gave you a scenario. What if it was a religious conquest like the Crusaders coming in and they're about to massacre the entire city? Are you telling me that Melvin is going to say, don't defend your city and your children and your loved ones and your wealth because all wars are wrong?
All wars are wrong. Let me tell you something. What's happening let me tell you something.
What's this big picture?
Let me tell you something.
What's the bigger picture, Melvin?
Let me tell you something. What's happening? In Palestine, what's happening now? You have the people that call themselves Jews are putting the Christian to fight against the Muslims. A lot of the weapons that they have been using are from Western countries.
Okay, so is that a religious war or not a religious war?
It is a religious war and it's a business,
Of course, yeah.
right?
Okay.
That's the Jewish thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
that, in the first place, is wrong. Because if you go back before the Napoleon War, during the Napoleon War, right, those people that call themselves Jews, the British and the French is what caused what is happening today.
okay, Melvin, let me ask you this question then.
And that's wrong.
How do you know it's wrong?
How do I know it's wrong?
How does Melvin...
Because-
Wait, can I just... Let me qualify it.
Yeah.
How does Melvin's personal feelings outweigh the billions and billions of people who have lived on this life, who also received this, who also have within them that same godly source that you defined at the beginning of our exchange? How are you able to show that you're right and all those people in the past and now are wrong?
Okay, let me tell you. You see, the land that those people call Jews live on, that land is Palestinian.
No, I'm going beyond that.
The
Melvin.
British.
I'm going beyond
Okay.
that. I'm saying
That-
fundamentally,
fundamentally-
how is Melvin's
Because-
concept true and all of them are wrong?
Because those people who are Palestine have been living have been
Not
born.
not Palestine.
Welcome,
I'm talking about those billions of people who lived in the past, all the way back to the beginning of the human saga, who fought wars. Some of them believing it was good, some of them believing it was bad, right? Well, 1 second. And they have the same source of godliness that Melvin has, which Melvin has used to come to the conclusion that all wars are wrong. How is Melvin right and all those people who have the same source that they're utilizing wrong?
Wars on this planet.
No, you don't say wars on this planet.
My brother,
I'm
you're
asking.
answering the wrong question. It's not okay. Granted, all wars are bad.
Yeah. How do you know it's wrong?
We'll accept that. Yeah. So you don't have to tell us that. Yeah. How do you know that? Tell us how you know that, so maybe we can get to know that in the same way.
Okay. For me, how I know that, because life, any form of life, taking a life is wrong.
No,
in my soul.
I understand that, but
And
how
that's it.
how do you know it's true? How do you know that Melvin's personal truth trumps the billions of truths that live today and preceded you in the human past?
How I feel about.
So it's just a
about
gut
life,
feeling then?
It's how I feel about
just a
life.
gut feeling.
Then it's not true, then, is it? Then it's not true.
It's my truth.
It's your truth, and that's all there is to
It's
it.
just
And
a
that's
gut
what I'm saying to you,
feeling.
Melvin.
Right.
You live in a skeptical, ultra-skeptical world where you
I
don't trust
live.
anyone.
No, I trust.
I would say to you-
people by how I feel by listening.
No, but you don't, because you don't
Then
care
you
about.
listen.
Then you don't care about the truth, because remember, you said to me that ultimately it comes down to what
comes
Melvin
down to
believes.
what I believe.
So it's irrelevant whether you listen to people.
Whether I listen.
Imagine you live your life where you claim that you're listening to people, but in reality, no matter what you absorb, the final determinant of truth is your own personal feelings.
Because you've made that decision already.
Exactly.
No.
But you have.
You have to open. Number one, if you're open to listening to everything.
No one's denying that.
And once you listen to everything, in the end,
It comes back to you.
it comes back to you.
Exactly. So no matter your
So
truth is your truth, no matter what they say, may be true or may be false.
You can't
You're the
take
ultimate
every-
determinant. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get.
You're a Christian. You're a Christian.
No, he's not. Okay,
Why?
okay, it's a long story. We've been here for about an hour and a bit.
I don't know.
You don't know what you are.
Trust me, you don't want to get
I know what I am.
I've broken it
but
down off you. I've broken
I
it
think
down.
I know what I am. Some said I'm a Muslim. Some said I'm a Christian.
I thought you were close to Islam, but you have a very skeptical view of life, Melvin. And I'm hoping.
He
No,
thinks I'm close to Islam.
no. I thought you were in the beginning when we had a talk, and you were talking about your personal feeling. I interpreted that as fitrah. But as we broke things down, I think what's happening is, Melvin, you've come to a point in life where maybe the experience that you've had in life has led you down a dark road, as I see it. And excuse me for using that word.
Don't worry.
But
I'm not annoying.
I appreciate that. But I think it's led you down a road of ultra skepticism. But there's a way of getting out of that. It's to recognize that your determinant for truth isn't necessarily the only way of determining truth. That there are other ways of determining truth. All you have to do is look out there in the world to recognize that there are people that you have to love and trust. And if you love and trust them, then you would take what they say immediately at face value and implement it.
I can't take what people say as face value
Then-
without investigating, without finding out for myself.
Then the
Or
place
just
where
skepticism.
that you're lost in, you will always stay there. You will
Makes you
always
think
be
I'm
lost.
lost.
You are.
Because, okay then, what makes you think that I'm lost but you are not lost?
Okay,
Because-
before you
Go
carry
on.
on, Melvin, listen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
But think about what I've said and read the Quran with a bit more of an open mind. I think you'll recognize that the truths that the Prophet Muhammad came with to show that he's the Prophet Muhammad, I think are irrefutable.
That's fine for you.
Yeah, I gave you one. There's other examples.
Yeah.
We can talk about that if you want to.
I have
next
lots
time.
I have lots of Muslim friends.
Yeah.
So I can actually, we have discussion.
There's also prophecies that our Prophet Muhammad gave. Prophecies that are incredible.
That's good.
That if a person were to hear, I find it difficult that they would be able to explain that away through rational means or through rational
Do you
investigation.
mind me?
Can I give you one?
Go ahead.
In the Quran, there's a chapter where it prophesies that one of the Prophet's uncles and his wife will end up in hellfire. They're going to die upon their belief, and no matter what, they're never going to convert to Islam. Now this uncle, his name was Abu Lahab. He had such hatred for the Prophet, and his wife had such hatred for the Prophet, that they would go around contradicting the Prophet wherever he went. So one day his uncle said to the Prophet in a type of curse, in a way that we curse the Prophet, he said, "Perish your hands." And immediately revelation came down to the Prophet Muhammad, and the revelation was a prophecy. It said, "Perish the two hands of Abu Lahab, and may he perish." And then it said that his wife will also be in hellfire. So what it's prophesying is that they are going to die upon disbelief. Now, given how much hatred Abu Lahab and his wife had, all they had to do to prove that Prophet Muhammad was wrong is to say, you know what? You've just put all your eggs into one basket. You've just said that I'm not going to become a Muslim, and or my wife's not going to become a Muslim. Well, guess what? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove your religion wrong. I'm going to prove that you are a liar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. There you go, you're wrong. That would have been the end of the Prophet's claim. Because he's attributing this prophecy to who? The source of all things, the one who's all knowledgeable. Do you know how long they lived? 10 years. 10 years they had the opportunity of doing the most important thing. Instead, what did they choose? The most hardest thing, which was make war against the Prophet. So these are proofs that the Prophet came with during his time to show that if I am a prophet, one of the attributes of the prophets are that they have knowledge of the future. Also knowledge of the unseen world. Another prophecy, the Prophet told us about the end of times, when the entire universe will come to an end. And these are known as the minor signs of the Day of Judgment. In one of the signs he said that there will come a time where the lands of Arabia will once again return to being green pastures. And he uses specifically return to being green pastures. Now during the Prophet's time, they never knew that the lands of Arabia were green until when? Until thousands of years before, just after the younger Dryas, when the world was far more greener. That's when Arabia in that time was green. After that it became arid, and the knowledge of that was lost. And yet
even now you can see, you can actually see it was green.
Precisely. And it wasn't green,
and all of that.
and it's green because of what? Because of both two factors, the technology but also global warming. So how did the Prophet Muhammad know that the lands of Arabia will not just become green? Remember, it was a desert. It was a desert for 1,000 years before, and it was a desert for a good 1,400 years afterwards. How did he know that it will become green, and not just green, it will return to being green? Who told him that the lands of Arabia were green? Where did he get this information from?
You remind me of something I read, the book of Enoch. Enoch talked about
the future.
Slavery
Right.
before it actually happened.
Right. Yeah.
So we have...
Yeah, they are prophets and gods. We believe in them. And one of the ways the prophets came to prove their prophethood is that the source that they're attributing this to...
We are living it.
Yes.
We end up...
Well, here's another thing we're living. Another prophecy. The Prophet said that the end of time will not come, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said the end of time will not come until the barefooted Bedouin Arabs will compete against each other in the building of lofty buildings, in the construction of lofty buildings.
It's going back to from the big... something I said, I asked a friend recently. I asked a friend, what is happening around the world right now? He said, there's this, there's that. I said, haven't you noticed the West is coming to an end? She said, what do you mean? I said, we have lots of Oriental people in London and on around the world. And the world is going back to the way it used to be. I said, well, before the West, it was China. Before China, it was Africa. So I said, in my time, I might not live to see it. I might come back to see it when I die, and I wouldn't remember.
Okay.
But we are living in a time where we are heading close to the end.
So our Prophet, when he spoke about the Bedouin Arabs The Bedouin. You know what Bedouins are? The primitive Arabs who would travel through but via camel, and being nomadic in nature.
I've got a book on
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
So the only time in history where the Arabs began
Want to go through?
the only time in history where the Arabs began competing against each other in the construction of tall buildings is when? Now.
Yes, I've seen. Yeah.
They had mud hut buildings for thousands of years.
Yeah, but they're now what I.
So how did the Prophet Muhammad know this?
The Khalifa is the tallest building, the Caliph or something like that, and they're now trying to bring the desert bring the sea to the desert and all of this kind of thing.
The Prophet Muhammad, he said, the end of time will not come until those who are the trusts are given to those who are untrustworthy, and the ignorant ones will rule over you. The ignorant ones will rule over you. And we have the ignorant ones.
We are living through.
Yes, exactly. The Prophet Muhammad, he said, the end of times will not come until human beings will be able to communicate with animals. So look at the way, have you read of AI recently being able to decipher how they're going to be able to talk to dolphins? I mean, it's extraordinary.
No, that's been done before.
What, being able to talk to animals? Who?
Yeah.
When?
In another time. Way before you and I was born.
No, but when? Before Prophet Muhammad's time?
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about the prophecy at the end of time, not before. I'm talking about the prophecy. All these prophecies, when they're brought together, the idea of coincidence has to be thrown out the window. I'll give you another.
Nothing is a coincidence in life.
But that's my point precisely.
You and I,
how did this prophet, who was an illiterate, how could he have made these prophecies that are now becoming true?
Well, until we find him.
Would you like another one? He said that human beings will not get into open sexual promiscuity, will not become widespread, except that you will be afflicted by diseases that your forefathers never knew. Today, promiscuity has become so widespread that we have been afflicted with HIV virus, gonorrhea, syphilis, and other diseases that only now are beginning to come up.
Syphilis has been around for a long time.
It has, but it hasn't been as widespread.
Since the
in the past.
20s.
But HIV?
HIV has been around since the 50s.
Yes.
And HIV is, you see, when in the winter here, you have a coleslaw. That's part of the virus of HIV. And we have been living in a world whereby the system that man creates has made this all open. We're living in a world where the system is saying to a man, you're not a man. You are either a number or you are a woman. Yep. It's telling a woman, you're not a woman. Yep. You are a man. Yep. You are a number. Why is that?
Our Prophet Muhammad, he said, cursed by God, are those the men who dress like women and the women who dress like men. So for us, the gender differentiation is so important. And this is part of the collective truth. We believe that Islam is a holistic religion that provides you with all the necessary means of living the best version of yourselves. And it is the most balanced religion. It tells human beings how to live life from the most mundane things, like, for instance, how to go to the toilet. One of the Jews, he ridiculed one of the companions of the Prophet. He said, "Oh, we heard that your prophet even tells you how to go to the toilet." And he was unashamed. He said, "Yes, our prophet tells us how to go to the toilet." So he was unashamed about this. So Islam taught us about the most mundane things to the most important things in life, including how to worship God. So one of the Prophet's companions, his uncle Abbas, he said, the Messenger of Allah did not pass away except that he even taught us something about the flight of the birds. Can you imagine that, the flight of the birds, something as irrelevant as that? So if he told us something about that, you can bet your bottom dollar he taught us about how to live life. So for instance, these verses in the Quran that speak about the Prophet's final testament, his will. And it's all about the establishment of rights. It says, God says, come, let me recite unto you what your Lord has forbidden you from. And the first and most important thing, of course, is his right. that you do not associate partners in God's worship. And then the second most important right, that you be the best version of yourselves to your mother and father. Not the second best. The Arabic word ihsanan means you have to be the best version. So much so that the Quran says, when one of them, meaning your mother or your father, or both of them reach old age, extend a wing of humility over them and don't say uff.
What's uff?
Uff is the equivalent of forget a word of disrespect. Okay. Islam says you can't even say what or some word. Then the verse continues. Let me just quickly finish off because you'll appreciate it. And be the best version that you can to them. Be the best that you can to them. And do not kill your children out of fear of poverty. For he feeds you and he feeds them. So it's telling the Muslims to recognize that nothing in this world takes place except that he is the one that's giving you all the blessings. You know what this is in reference to? Don't kill your children. The Arabs, because they turned away from the truth of God, they came to this bizarre concept that baby children were a liability and male children were a good thing for them. So what they used to do, they used to bury their baby daughters alive.
It's funny, I'm watching some Chinese movie, and that is what is happening.
Yes, and in India, it's endemic amongst them that some of these Indians, they have this concept that if you're told that a child is about to be born, they abort it.
See?
It's a huge problem there. And in other parts of the world as well.
Human beings.
But human beings, yes, but you know why this takes place? I'll give you the verse. There's a verse in the Quran where God says, evil has appeared in the land and in the sea because of what the hands of men have earned. But God says, he continues, he says, so that they may taste a portion of this evil and return back to God in repentance. So evil is something that God doesn't tell us. He has taught us through his prophets and messengers. In the Quran, God says, we have sent down to you a book. It is glad tidings. It is good news for those who believe. And then the verse continues and says, truly Allah calls to all that is just. And he calls to all righteous good deeds. And he has forbidden for you all things that are evil, those things that lead to evil and oppression. And he has established this upon you so that you may become the best version, so that you may become righteous.
But in every religion, men don't follow what they're supposed to follow.
Precisely, and we've been given the freedom of choice to do that. But here's the thing, God has told us clearly in the Quran that if you know the truth, and the truth is clearly staring you in the face, and you willfully reject it, you're rejecting the truth of God, and he will hold you to account. He'll hold you to account. There's no escaping this.
Every single living thing will eventually be held to account.
Yes.
For their way of, for their soul. Their soul will be held to account.
Yes. And look at the advantage. Look at the advantage that we have over you, Melvin. We have from God a prophet who not just proves that he's a prophet, not just establishes truths that you will recognize as obvious, but he is telling you that there are consequences for this.
For me, it doesn't matter.
It should matter, because if what he's saying is true, the Quran explains in detail the punishment of the hellfire, where people who they will be placed in a box made of fire, where they will not be able to see the punishment of anyone else but themselves. So can you imagine, Melvin, can you imagine a box made of fire which has reflective qualities?
What you've just said reminds me of a book, my favorite book, Dante Inferno. It reminds me of that.
Yes, but instead of Dante's Inferno, where he had to make up things because the Bible didn't have these descriptions of the hellfire in heaven, the Prophet Muhammad came with all the information that will satisfy us as human beings. How to live our life in this world, how to live our life in terms of our neighbors, how to live our life in terms of the rights that we owe animals. Even the pathway has rights. The Prophet Muhammad saw some of his companions loitering on the pathway. He said, give the pathway its rights. So the companion said, O Messenger of Allah, how do we give the pathway its rights? He said, by spreading the salutations of peace, by saying, Assalamu alaikum. You might have heard the Muslims say this. Yeah.
You know,
this is a supplication.
Right. You know what that sounds like? What the West call the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Because it also talks about giving thanks to the pathway.
Yes.
Asking the pathway.
Yes.
to allow you to walk.
Yes, these are all truths that you'll find in various societies and religions and ways of life, because ultimately human beings have the capacity to know what obvious truths are in relation to the rights that we owe each other. But we can only know God's rights through Him communicating with us. It can't be through us. If God tells us, I want you to worship me alone, and there are millions of human beings worshipping God in the form of idols, this and that, then there's only one truth. And the only way we can know that is not through ourselves, it's through the messengers of God that God has chosen to tell us. And this is where faith established upon rationality comes into it. We're not telling Melvin and other people to blindly follow the truth, because what we're inviting people to are truths that are compatible with the intellect and what is within the fitrah, the heart.
No, the fitrah is heart.
The fitrah is that primordial state that all children. No, we don't believe children are born in sin. We think that's an absurdity, because our Prophet Muhammad said, every child is born upon the state of fitrah.
Listen.
But its mother and father, they inculcate within it. Judaism, Christianity, or Zoroastrianism.
Sorry.
No, it's right.
A friend of mine, I asked her that same question. Do we born in sin? Even my friend says, yes, we were born in sin. I said, that's a lot of bullshit.
Exactly.
My female friend said, although she has a child, she said, yes, all kids are born in sin.
Yes.
I said, okay, how do all kids born in sin? I said to her, that's bullshit.
And
I said to her, I asked her a question. I said, okay, what do kids do? I said, what do children do? You know what she said? They cry.
Is that enough?
I said, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, listen, a child is not born in sin.
Yeah.
No one on this plane comes from the Creator in sin.
Exactly.
The problem is the moment we are here, the children,
they
listen,
learn.
they listen,
they learn.
and they watch
Exactly.
adults and see how adults behave. Their home, their school, and then they become.
Then they learn the concept of lies, deception, and all the rest of it.
I said, what the?
So this is. Look, I've just given you another truth from our Prophet, from the source that tells us that children are born pure, but it's mother and father. They inculcate within it falsehoods. So here's the truth. Here's the punchline, if you will. Islam is calling people back to the original truth that all the prophets and messengers came with. They never taught man that you should worship God or worship yourselves. In the Quran, it is forbidden for human beings to worship themselves. It's forbidden, because people can take their own nafs, their own self, as a God besides Allah. Allah speaks about this in the Quran.
Well, I don't worship myself. That is something I'm really cautious of.
I hope I've given you enough to recognize that it's possible for a person to believe he's not worshipping himself when in reality he might be. He might be.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I've given you enough to take away and just ask yourself, before the end comes, is Islam giving me the solutions? Did Abu Isa give me enough to encourage me towards that path, towards at least hopefully opening up yourself to being less skeptical towards your fellow man?
I always think about everything that I hear, everything that I don't.
Have you ever heard what I've said to you over the past hour and a bit? Have you heard this from other people, from other religions? No.
When I was a boy, I was an altar boy.
Okay.
So back home, I was in another religion with my gran. When I came here as a child to get into a Catholic school, because at that time they had the best education, so I became an altar boy.
So your background is Christianity to a certain extent, right?
To a certain extent.
So for the Muslims, the Quran actually comes, as you know, for the Christians and the Jews, and it tells the Christians, don't worship Jesus. Don't say that God is 3 in 1.
That's my question with Christians. How could God be 3 in 1?
You know that
Father, Son, and
you know that
Holy
B word that you used for a child being born in sin?
Yeah.
The idea that God that there is a Father, He's God. There's a Son, He's God. There's the Holy Spirit, He's God. But they're not three gods, but one God. Again, that doesn't make any sense.
It does not.
So the concept of God is, if the source of all truth is truth itself, and implanted within us the concept of truth, it has to be the case that this truth should be clear
Yes.
and obvious. So listen to this verse in the Quran. It's called Al-Ikhlas, the chapter of purity. And it says, say He is Allah, the one and only. The word ahad here doesn't just mean numerically one, it means God can't be chopped up into bits. 3 in 1, 20 in 1.
Thank you very much.
Or as some of the Hindus say, 330 million in 1. So say He is Allah, the one and only. Allah as-Samad. He is the self-subsisting, the sufficient. He requires nothing. He brings everything into existence. Everything is dependent upon Him. He is not dependent upon anything. Lam yalid. As a result of that, He does not beget. Nothing is born from Him. He creates, but He doesn't produce anything from Himself. Nor is He begotten. He's not born. Because if He was born, something brought Him into existence. And that thing has a more greater right.
You see what you just said? When Christians says
Jesus was born.
I said, okay, where did He came?
Exactly.
And then so then, if He was born, the Creator has to be born.
Exactly.
So where did the Creator? So then I said, in that case, I'm not interested in where the Creator. I'm interested in where did the Creator Himself came from.
Yeah. So
here's that's the case.
Exactly. So to finish off that chapter, if God did not beget, nor is He begotten, and He is completely self-subsistent and sufficient, and He is one, He has to be. Therefore, there's nothing like God. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ اللَّهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There's nothing like unto God. Meaning, God has always been there.
So then, I have a question. Where did the Christian get this?
I'll give you the answer in one word, in one name. Saint Paul.
Thank you.
And the Quran actually speaks about these people who came after Jesus' time. Shall I tell you the verse?
Yes, please.
It says that there were those who came after Jesus who misled, who went astray themselves, who misled many, and they all went astray. And the one who came after Jesus is a man who never met Jesus.
You know.
So what's the call of the prophets and messengers? What was the call of Muhammad to the Christians? He's saying the following. In the Quran, God says that do not say He is three. God says don't say that He's three. Because God says the one who says that the Messiah, son of Mary, is God Himself, Allah has forbidden paradise for them, and hellfire will be their abode, wherein they shall find no helpers.
My friend who is here in the gentlemen.
Guys.
That's what he believes. He and I have arguments all the time.
Well, maybe as a Muslim you might be now able to give him the truth.
But I've been telling him for a long time. I said there can't be a Father, Son, and Holy Ghost in one.
Yeah.
I said it's impossible.
Because none of the prophets and messengers taught this.
I said it's impossible.
Yeah.
I said think of it. I said to him, look outside of yourself as a human being. You know? I'm going to leave you with this.
Why are you leaving? What's stopping you from becoming a Muslim right now? What I've told you is so obvious that I know it resonates with Melvin's heart.
I'm listening and I hear what you're saying. Now, I'm going to take what you say to me and reverberate it in my mind.
Amazing. Can I give you one last advice?
Go ahead.
In the Quran, God says we don't have middlemen. We don't need to confess our sins. There's no middlemen in Islam.
Sorry, no, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at myself. Because I've been trying to say to my friend, you don't go to Jesus Christ. If you want anything, go directly to the source.
Of course, because He's the one that...
Because it's the source can actually help you.
Exactly.
Not the middleman.
Exactly. And this is the call of the prophets and messengers, Melvin.
See, I didn't learn what you said in the Bible or what I read. It's what I actually feel.
And now it's been codified and hopefully cemented through Islam.
You have refined it.
And I've just given you a snippet. There's far more refinement. The refinement gives you, Melvin, it gives you certainty of faith. It's what's known as ilm al-yaqeen. It gives you certainty of faith. I'll take, it's not ilm al-yaqeen, but it's a level of certainty that Islam provides for you. It gives you a satisfaction that the truth that you're upon is shared by millions of people. And all of us, Melvin, we're social creatures. That's why belief in Islam is based upon 5 pillars. Belief in Allah, you become a Muslim by repeating the declaration of faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. There's none worthy of worship in truth except the source whose name is Allah. And there's none worthy of being followed in truth except the last and final messenger of God, Muhammad, who came with the truth. The second pillar is the 5 daily prayers. This is what establishes, transforms faith into action.
I used to read it because a beautiful Muslim lady sent it to me, and because she prayed 5 times a day.
Yes.
And I said to her, I will read it.
So you read the first chapter of the Quran, right?
No. Oh yeah.
Because that's what we read in the prayer.
But the prayer, she has a prayer.
Okay.
A prayer book.
And you read it?
Oh yeah.
Look
all of it.
Look how beautiful the Muslim prayer is. We are the only religion that 5 times a day, in the morning before sunset, before starting our day, in the early afternoon, the late afternoon, after sunset, and at night, we are told that all God is asking us for 5 minutes in our life, 5 times a day, worship Him, and that's our purification of ourselves and reminding ourselves that we're going somewhere.
I asked her, why do you do this 5 times a day? That's what I asked her. She said, because it makes her feel closer.
Exactly.
To
Yes.
To God.
Yes.
So I said to her, where are you right now? She said, I'm outside jogging. I said, okay, stop what you're doing and look around you and tell me what you see. She said, I see children, I see trees, and I see people, I see dogs. I said, so you see all of this. Why do you need to pray 5 times a day to get closer to God when the people that you see is part of the creation, is the creator?
What was our answer?
You could answer.
It's being thankful to God. In the Quran, what are we asking? When we read the first chapter of the Quran, let me give it to you. Firstly we say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to God, the Lord of all that exists. Right? Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. We are recognizing 2 attributes of God. He is the most merciful. He's the most beneficent. God says in the Quran that, say to them, indeed I am the most merciful, but my punishment is the severest of all punishments. So we have a recognition that God's love and mercy are conditional. That God's love and mercy are conditional, Melvin.
Oh, time to go.
You have to go? No worries. Listen, I appreciate your time, okay? All the best. Listen, dude, in the future, if you have any questions, come down. But I would say to you, Melvin, be sincere. And I was going to say to you, in the Quran, God says, وَقَالُوا رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. God says, call upon me, I will answer your call. But be sincere.
I always do.
Thank you.